Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The information and other content provided on this radio show or in any linked materials is provided for informational purposes only, not intended and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Welcome. Good morning. It is time for Naturally Inspired Radio, and I'm so glad you're joining me today. Another beautiful day here in northern Colorado. Absence of winter. Oh my goodness. I've got a farmer coming up on the second, actually a rancher, in the second hour. I've got a rancher coming up. So, I almost feel bad because, I've been celebrating this weather, but I know, I know all our real ranchers, I'm not really a real rancher. I only got 5 head of cattle, it's kind of just more of a hobby for me. So, I don't have as much skin in the game as real ranchers do. So I feel bad saying that, I'm enjoying the good weather because I know they need moisture. Farmers need moisture, ranchers need moisture, and we did not get much this winter. So anyway, I feel guilty already. Dean Lerwick is going to be joining us from Pumpkin Creek Ranch at the bottom of the second hour. So look forward to that. I got a great show planned for you today. I hope your week's going well. Hope everything is running smooth, and you're coping with everything that's going on as usual in the news, because of course there's tons of stuff to be concerned about. But the number one priority has to be our health, right? It has to be our health. We cannot help others. We cannot make a difference when we're not pouring into ourselves. So make sure you remind yourself of that today, and you're taking care of your health and the habits that you have each and every day that you promised yourself, that you deserve this better care. So I hope you're doing that. Let's get into what we're going to be talking about today. For culture today, oh my goodness. So lots of things have dropped recently, and there's more podcasts out from the AI people. Is that what we're going to call them? The AI people, the tech people, the humanoids. Like, what are we going to call these people? Because they definitely think a little different than we do. Definitely thinking a lot different than maybe you or I'm guessing. Anyway, I saw my first, like a full feature movie, I guess, has been made with like all AI, essentially. So this would have been like a $200 million budget, I believe, for this movie. But of course, it didn't require that, because we're moving movies over into artificial intelligence where AI makes movies. I don't know. I brought a clip for you today. I want you to watch it. Can you tell? I feel like I can tell. I don't know. But it doesn't, I don't know. There's something missing here. That was my impression. And honestly, I didn't know it was AI until I read the caption and looked a little closer at it. But so who knows if it's because once I knew it was AI, I was biased. I don't know. I'm trying to be honest with myself, but I don't like this. I just don't like it. I think it just separates us even more and makes us feel disconnected from our humanity when we're now watching. I mean, it's bad enough that we watch movies, we watch social media, we're, voyeurs of other people's lives. Now they're not even real people we're watching. We're voyeurs of simulations of humans, right? Like, we're watching simulations of humans, and now this is going to be considered art, and we're supposed to connect to this somehow. Oh, Lord, help us. Anyway, here's the clip. Check it out.
Today?
What? No, I have a meeting. I can't.
Oh, shit. Fine.
Reporting what is being called a geomagnetic storm. This is a phenomenon caused by a massive
information as it comes available. Stay tuned to this channel for continuous coverage.
I'm on my way. I need you to hide. Get underground.
Okay. So I bet a lot of you are thinking, well, we've got a lot of that CGI now, and this is, just like a little bit more advanced than, CGI or whatever. But no, this is completely AI generated. So, this actor, oh gosh, we're not really interchangeable. This is an apparition. This doesn't exist. So I can't even say that this is an actress. This is like a synthetic apparition of an actress, I guess. It's like, my brain wants to keep these things separated. My brain wants to keep these things separated. And I think that's a healthy thing, right? The conglomerate of the technology people want us to blur the fake synthetic with the real. And that, of course, well, I got a lot for you today on that. That's for sure. But yeah, so this appearance here of this fake actress, fake synthetic apparition of an actress, it kind of reminds me of Daryl Hannah, right? Back in the day, remember Daryl Hannah? So it's like, it's based on a likeness of, you know, a representation of what is considered beautiful, I guess, you know, that just think about the ramifications of this, okay? As if it's not bad enough that we have all these filters and weirdness that create images and create the standard of beauty in our culture. Now we have like stuff that really doesn't even exist ever. Never existed, doesn't exist. And now this is the standard of beauty. Like it's not bad enough, right? We have young people striving to achieve a standard of beauty through cutting themselves, injecting themselves, augmenting the outside of their body to feel a certain way inside to get approval. Like, I don't know where this goes now. I don't know where this goes. This goes, I think, to what Ray Kurzweil has been talking about for a long time and sat down and talked about on the Moonshots podcast again. Yeah, Ray Kurzweil has made another appearance on this podcast, and I want to kind of share it with you so you can get some, you know, more clarity around what these people are shooting for. But before I do that, I want to share this screenshot with you for breaking news, what Meta has done. So Meta, of course, Facebook, you know, all that, has patented an AI that can keep a deceased person's account active and running, posting, messaging, and video calling by using their behavior from past data. Okay, so let me tell you, this is the simulation, right? This is the digital revolution. This is the AI takeover of humans. What they're doing here is they're priming the pump. They're getting you used to the idea that, hey man, no one will ever die in the virtual. Nobody will ever die in the virtual. That Facebook friend you had that you haven't seen in person for, 30 years, they pass away, but hey, it's okay. Because you'll never tell the difference. You're going to still see their Facebook posts. It's going to still be in their vibe and their way of speaking, all the rest of it, because the large language model is keeping a tally on who that person is, and it'll be able to take over where they leave off. This is like so weird, right? Like, talk about like, this has been building though. If you look at our culture over the last couple of decades, you can see how this has been building, like under the guise of like, hey, don't suffer. Nobody should suffer. Nobody should feel pain. Nobody should be bullied. We've got to fix everything. Oh, are you sad? Take some pills. Hey, do you feel this way? Take some more pills. Like, we're medicating emotions that are normal because we've developed a culture where it's like, you should never feel bad, ever. And if you feel bad, something's wrong with you. Something's wrong with you, and you need to be medicated. You need to, chase away the unpleasant feelings. So that's been brewing for quite a long time. I would say through like gentle parenting, the bully bench, this whole campaign to like stop anything. You shouldn't suffer at all in our current culture. And that ain't life. That is not living. Living's tough. I mean, I'm the first one to tell you it's not easy. Being a human is not it's not all, rainbows and unicorns, right? But that's kind of what creates the contrast in life. How, if everything is pleasant, everything is never painful, it's just, just fix it. Never should you ever feel anything. Then how do you know when you feel good? How do you know when, you've worked hard on something and you feel that sense of achievement if you've never experienced failure? I used to tell my kids, hey, you can't enjoy a Friday after school cruising through and getting a treat if you've never been to school on Monday morning. And I think that applies here. Stay tuned, everybody. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. We'll be right back.
Did you know that a single collagen supplement could support your heart health, help protect against EMF exposure, and reduce inflammation all at the same time? Our preferred foundational collagen not only supports radiant skin and joint mobility, but also promotes heart health, reduces inflammation, strengthens hair and nails, provides added protection against the effects of EMF exposure, and so much more. Our favorite collagen is super absorbable and easy to take. Just 1 tablespoon in the morning and another in the evening for maximum benefits. Here's what our listeners have to say.
This collagen is so easy to take, I've noticed a huge difference in my hair and nails after just a few weeks.
Since I started using Tammy's preferred collagen, my joints feel more flexible and my skin looks smoother.
Try it today at naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen. When you purchase from Naturally Inspired, you get access to our group health coaching call and so much more. Go to naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen.
Welcome back. Would you follow us on Substack? Share it with a friend. What do they call it? Restack it. Restack it at Tammy Cuthbert Garcia. Follow us over there on Substack. Did you know you can watch the show from there now? Substack is really growing. I'm quite impressed with it. I wish I had more time to put into it. Will admit I don't have a ton of time to do as much writing on Substack as I used to. But I love that platform, and you should check us out on there. Find us at Naturally Inspired Radio, at Naturally Inspired Radio. So that's us on Substack. Share it with a friend, restack it, or that's what they're saying. I think it's restacking it. And that helps us get the word out to more people. And after all, what we're doing here is we're connecting people to real solutions for health so they can tap out of the medical mafia model and get better results with their health. So help us do that. Follow us on Substack at naturallyinspiredradio.com. So one of the questions that came to mind when I was watching this video, and I felt kind of like empty, I just felt kind of like let down and empty from this AI movie stuff, is like, will people push back? Will we, this is all very cool and I can have my AI avatar, I can be anything I want to be. That was also priming, right? The transhuman agenda, which is the tranny agenda, the gender dysphoria thing, which I'm going to talk about today too. That was all priming to be able to accept this, I can be anything. I can be a cat. I can be this. I can be that. Well, yeah, in the transhuman world, you can augment yourself. You can merge with artificial intelligence and be something you never imagined you could be, and it should be totally acceptable. It's just like in gradual steps, they expose people to it. So it becomes normalized. And I wonder if that little part inside you that desires to connect to other souls, other people, other people's experiences, their stories, that little piece that makes you feel like, oh yeah, we're all right. This human race, right? If that's not going to call us quickly back, I'm praying that it does. Okay, because I can't even quantify the impact of this emotionally, mentally, like even physically. Like, what happens if you can all of a sudden show up as your avatar everywhere virtually, or, even augment yourself in reality? Gosh, it's like, what happens then to like just regular old humans? Just regular old humans, What happens? What do we give up in exchange for augmentation through transhumanism? That we don't know. Do we lose this connection, this soulful connection that we all feel? Do we lose the ability to have higher faculties that are kind of unexplainable about humans, like intuition and empathy and some of these other things that we have a hard time articulating and pointing out precisely what they are? I wonder. I'm concerned about that. But people like Ray Kurzweil, they're not as concerned. Let me tell you, they are not as concerned about those types of things, because I'm not sure, I don't want to be mean, but I'm not sure they've ever been connected in that way. I talk about this, how people get so compartmentalized, almost obsessive about what they're trying to do, that it drives every thought they have. And I see that. It's kind of mind-blowing to me when I listen to these conversations, because I'm like, wait a minute, these guys are supposed to be like super intelligent, high intellect, like, geniuses that go to Stanford and, so smart. But yeah, I see massive gaps of wisdom. And I'm not talking about little gaps. I'm talking like massive gaps of wisdom that they seem to be lacking when it comes to understanding the impact of what they're trying to do here when they push artificial intelligence and the singularity and the merger between man and machine. Like major gaps in understanding here of how humans operate. You're going to get a peek of that because I have some clips here to share with you. This is from the Moonshots podcast. Again, I tell you, if you want to know what's going down, this is the podcast. Although I'm warning you, it's not going to make you happy listening to this stuff. It'll make you probably a little uncomfortable. Anyway, let's get to it. Here's the first clip from the Moonshots, Peter Diamandis and Ray Kurzweil and company.
29, and it's growing exponentially. Why are we waiting till 2045 for the singularity? Could you sort of explain the difference between those two things?
When we multiply our intelligence 1,000-fold. I mean, one difference of my own perspective versus everybody else's, it's not like we have our own intelligence, biological intelligence, and then we have AI that's over here, and we somehow relate to AI versus human intelligence. We're going to merge with it. It's going to be the same thing. We're not going to be able to tell whether or not an idea is coming to us from our biological intelligence or our computational intelligence. It's going to seem the same. I mean, if I asked you to think of some actress and you think of it, you don't know where that came from. It just somehow appeared in your mind. And it's going to be the same way, whether it's coming from your computational intelligence or your biological intelligence. And we're not going to be able to tell the difference. Today, you can tell the difference. If you actually go to your favorite LLM, you can tell that it's coming from the LLM, not from your biological intelligence. In the future, though, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. And we're going to become 1,000 times smarter.
Hey, I'm just going to say out the gate here, this guy says, more than I do. I don't know if this, I'm always working on my so I say, too much. I know it. But this guy says it more than me. So, hey, he's a super genius. And he still says, So we don't know where that came from. When I tell you to think of an actress and you conjure up the vision of an actress in your mind, Ray thinks we don't know where that comes from. Do you see the gaps here? Like, I have an understanding of where that image comes from. I'm 50 years old. I've seen a ton of movies. I have seen a ton of actresses. And when I think of an actress, my memory recalls the faces, the movie scenes of some of those movies I have seen. That is my memory. That is my experience. We don't know where it comes from. It comes from our lived experience. The blurring of, artificial intelligence and your natural memory, that's no longer coming from your lived experience. You're now pulling from an apparition, air, a computer-generated image. And see what Ray's trying to do here. And by the way, I don't know about you guys, but he seems slower to me than he did, say, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So I don't know if he's trying out the technology on himself or what's going on. I don't know what's going on behind that hair rug thing he's got on or whatever. Did he take the Neuralink and we don't know? What's happening here? What's happening here? Again, I have to say, these seems like big gaps of understanding of how humans operate. No, maybe, we don't fully understand how our brain computes and stuff like that. But why do we need to? Why do we need to? Can we not accept that this is the human experience? Our creator made us, and, I get it. He's not he doesn't believe in God or whatever, but how do you explain to yourself then how you got here? Is it just I don't know how that translates in his thought process. And then to think that you don't know, you have memory. That's where you're pulling this information. It's just bizarre. It's all pushing you towards a synthetic version of being a human. This is this whole pattern. Is we have the things in nature. They're here. We're here. We are humans. Why are we synthesizing what is already here when we don't even fully understand our own biology already? Why do we have a subconscious? Those are things that are worthy study, trying to unlock a little bit more of understanding of being a human. But that's not good enough for these people. They need to synthesize and emulate and take control, because ultimately that's what it's about. There's a huge control issue here. Okay. So just doing a little bit of research on this kind of phenomenon of wanting to cure death. Facebook wants to cure death, right? They are going to keep people's profiles avatars, right? Their AI avatars alive after they have died in reality. This is existing in the simulation. Are you really existing if you're just existing online, in the cloud? So what is the obsession with curing death? At its core, it's the belief that death is a technical failure, not a natural boundary. Instead of asking, how should we live well, the focus becomes, how long can we extend life? How much decline can we delay? How much biology can we override? Death is reframed from an existential reality into an engineering problem. These people have already crossed over into computer world, machine world. Everything is a machine problem. You solve human problems by solving machine problems. I know. It makes your head spin a little bit. Stay tuned. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert Garcia. We'll be right back.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
Welcome back. You can support the Naturally Inspired community. So many benefits. Tuesday night, weekly wellness workshops. We had a great one again last night. Great chat at the last half hour. It was a good time, I think, with very valuable information. It feels so good to connect to the community. So that's just one of the things. You get my health text line. You get 15% off of wellness products and so much more. You can get into the community, book an assessment with me. We can sit down and, really dial in what you need to support your optimum health journey. And you can book it at naturallyinspiredstore.com. Now, if you already know. So many of you are like, yeah, I don't have any health concerns because I know what I need. I do this, I do this, I do that. Hey, consider looking at the Naturally Inspired store because we are partnered with a wonderful partnered product line. And I love our omega-3s. I love, things like our Uplift product that has ashwagandha in it for mood stabilization, our stress complex. So many wonderful products. Of course, the Vivix, which is great for inflammation. Consider buying them with us because when you buy with us, not only do you get access to the community, but you are making a clear decision here. You are signaling to the marketplace that you are tapping out of the allopathic model and you are taking personal responsibility for prevention and for your own wellness. So do it today. Join us at naturallyinspiredstore.com. Okay, so some big gaps here. And I've said this before, and I can't help but think this every time. If the devil wanted to, pull off the biggest betrayal, right? The biggest betrayal, the biggest slap in the face to God, wouldn't it be something to get all of God's design, humans, to change themselves into something else and to deny their creator, to deny God by saying, this isn't good enough. Man is better. I'm going to merge with man's design. Like, I just can't, I'm sorry to make it spiritual, but like we all feel that this is a spiritual battle. And I can't help but think, I always try to put myself in the position of like, as a parent. So tell me, as a parent, how would you feel if someone convinced your kid that, they weren't of you anymore, that, tricking them by saying, oh, you can get all these, new fancy bells and whistles if you just kind of deny that that's your mom and dad, because you're not of them anymore. You now have these machine parts and you have all this other stuff in you. You're merged. You're a transhuman now. I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like that. You pour a lot into your kids. You sacrifice a lot for your kids and you're willing to do it. It's not a burden, but you do because of your love for your kids. And that would be a huge betrayal. That would be a huge betrayal. And I can't help but think that that's where this transhuman thing is headed. And it's going to be a really difficult time with a lot of difficult decisions because there's a lot of shiny bells and whistles being promised. And I don't know if they're real. I don't know. I don't know that they can do this stuff that they say they can do. It seems fake. It seems fake. Like you're going to have a fake relationship with somebody that you knew and they died, but you're going to keep up the relationship in the virtual because it makes you feel good. Like yesterday, we talked about there being kind of two worlds, right? There's the facade of the medical model where they tell you, oh, yes, this is how we're here for your health. We're here to help you. We're here for your health. Yeah, that's like a sliver of it, They really care about the Dow. They really care about the business of it. There's always the facade, and then there's what's really going on behind the screen. And I think AI is no different. It's a con. It's a con to keep you on the facade, the promises of it all. Because I don't see a lot of advancement here in Ray Kurzweil. I really don't. And listen to what he's saying now. So here's a couple other things. So there's an obsession. Okay, this is a real condition where people are obsessed with solving death. It's fear disguised as progress. The fear isn't dying. The fear is losing control. It's becoming dependent. It's being irrelevant, facing finitude without answers. So instead of confronting fear of death, society tries to outpace it. Longevity becomes a coping mechanism. And then this podcast, Ray Kurzweil repeatedly points out he's so interested in this, what does he call it? Something velocity. Anyway, let's take a look at the second clip and you'll see what I mean. Here it is.
Variously, quantum archaeology or humanity's final task. Tsiolkovsky has written or had written extensively about this in the context of Russian cosmism. Question for you. When do we get the ability to computationally resurrect dead human beings with AI?
Well, prior to that, we could try to create avatars of ourselves. We did create one of my father, and I'm creating now an avatar of myself. I have actually a lot more material that we can put into text. I have 11 books. I've got several hundred articles that I've written, articles about me. All of this will go into a large language model. We'll create something that can talk like me and it will look like me. And I get probably 5 to 10 requests for interviews and podcasts a day, and I can't do most of them. So I'll actually offer them, you can interview the avatar. The avatar is actually better than me because it will remember everything. I don't remember everything that I've said. So the avatar would actually be better, and you can interview the avatar as long as you want.
In whatever language.
You can do it in another language, right? And that'll be this year. So...
What age are you going to make yourself in your avatar? Kind of an arbitrary choice you have to make.
Yeah. Now, that's not actually creating everything about me or my father, which we have actually less material of his, although we have enough to create an avatar that's also lively. Being able to relate everything that a person has and the state of their bodies and so on, it's that will happen eventually, but that's probably another 10 or 15 years away.
Do you view that as the killer app of the singularity, the so-called great task of resurrecting computationally with AI every human who has ever existed?
That's one of them, yeah.
There's so many.
To me, that I'm very interested in is being able to longevity escape velocity, where a year goes by, you age a year, but you get back that year from advances in medicine that keep you going for another year.
So the question that comes to mind, listening to this conversation here, is like, well, first of all, like, are I feel like these people are a different species than me. But anyway, if we're solving death through longevity escape velocity and mRNA technology that rolls back the aging process and all this advanced technology that they, with gene therapy and, they're solving all our problems, med beds, all this stuff is like going to just fix us all, then why do we need to create artificial versions of ourselves? Why the race to create a virtual part of ourselves? To me, it's because, in reality, you can't change, your flesh necessarily without like surgery and it doesn't look too good a lot of times, So this is a way, like, this is very a strong messaging to me. Why so much self-hate? Why is it so, like, why do you need to create a better version of yourself that lives in a synthetic world? And we've accepted so much of this, right? We've accepted so much of this augmentation and we've praised it and made it our beauty standard. And you guys, it's all standing on self-hate. I'm not enough. I need to be something else. I'm not smart enough. I need artificial intelligence. I don't have the look that I want. I need artificial. Like, why are we so like obsessed with not being enough? Because ultimately this is self-hatred. Yuck. Like, people are taking it way too like seriously. I mean, I know it's life and everything, but you know what I mean? You're taking life way too seriously. Everything needs to be perfect. I want this experience. I want that. Like, you don't get to control that. It's not up to you. That's not having a human experience. That's something else. That's something else. I'm just concerned with what we're going to lose through all of this, sense of humor, the little things that you remember about people, your grandma, your grandpa. It's the funniest things that you remember. It isn't their vocabulary, it isn't how quick they retain information necessarily. It's the little tiny quirks and individual things that make that person unique. And these guys are trying to make everybody the same and everybody available. Totally different way of life. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with your naturally inspired moment.
Did you know that nearly 70% of Americans struggle with their health every single day? That's why we are reaching out to health professionals and to anyone who simply has a heart for helping people. Right now, there's an opportunity to make a real difference in people's lives while building a flexible income stream for yourself. Whether you're already working in health, wellness, or just passionate about seeing people thrive, we want to connect with you and introduce you to our system. Together, we can provide real solutions that empower people to take control of their health and create lasting impact. If you've been looking for a way to combine purpose with income, this is it. Visit simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448 That's simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. We look forward to working with you.
Work with me for better health. You can book your free health assessment at naturallyinspiredstore.com. Get yourself on my calendar and let's get you on an optimum path for health. For today's Naturally Inspired Moment, so yesterday we had our weekly wellness workshop, and it was, the missing variable, why belief alters outcomes more than protocols. Like, you have to have a basis of belief that you can heal, that a protocol that you're dedicating yourself to will work. You've got to have a basis of belief, no matter what path you're choosing, or it's not going to work. The brain is the driver. The brain is the driver, and feelings, thoughts drive feelings. Feelings drive actions. And if you have no belief, then, it doesn't matter, I don't think, what you do. Until you get that set right, you're going to struggle. Okay. So I started thinking about this a little bit deeper, because you start to wonder why we think the way we do. If we lack the ability to hold belief or faith, you got to ask why. Where is that kind of instinctual negativity coming from? Is it experience over time? I'm sure that's part of it. But it's also neural pathways that we have built up. So I want to talk a little bit about, for the Naturally Inspired Moment today, I want to talk a little bit about trauma, because those neural pathways are built by our experiences. Some of our experiences are traumatic, and trauma doesn't just happen to us, it organizes us. It organizes our thought process. It shapes our neural pathways. It teaches our nervous system what to expect and quietly assigns us a role in the world. Okay? Over time, that role can start running our choices. It starts running our reactions. It runs our relationships and even our health. Long after the original event is gone, the traumatic event is gone, it keeps running the same pathways, down the same neural pathways. So here's how it works. I want to give you some tools on how to recognize when trauma is still influencing your outcomes. So when trauma occurs, especially repeated or unresolved trauma, the brain prioritizes survival over growth. And so neural pathways form around threat detection, not possibility. The nervous system learns patterns like stay small, stay vigilant, don't trust, perform to be safe, right? What makes me safe in this situation? That can mean being the helper all the time, right? Being the funny one all the time. Whatever you need to do to perform to be safe, that's the role that you've learned that keeps you safe. Some people, numb to survive. These pathways get reinforced through repetition. So what fires together, wires together. Over time, we don't just remember trauma, we become organized around it. How we learn our role from trauma. Trauma often asks a silent question: who do I need to be to survive this? So we adapt. Maybe you need to be the peacekeeper. Maybe you need to be the overachiever. Maybe you need to be the caretaker. Maybe you need to be the rebel. Or maybe you need to be the invisible one. Or the strong one who never needs help. At the time, this role was brilliant. It protected you. It kept you connected in your environment, and it kept you alive in some circumstances. But survival roles are not meant to be lifelong identities. So is that role that you were, your neural pathways cemented into you, is that role still serving you? A role that once kept you safe and in your environment, gave you value, it can limit your growth. It can create chronic stress. It can block intimacy. It can keep you stuck in the same outcomes with different faces. Trauma doesn't just influence what happened, it influences what feels familiar, even when familiar is not healthy. So we tend to cling to it. We know what to expect from those experiences. So today, here are 5 ways to identify if trauma is shaping your outcomes. Number 1, you keep getting the same results despite different intentions. If relationships, money, health, or work keep cycling through similar patterns, you've got to ask yourself, what nervous system state am I operating from? Is this from safety or survival? Trauma-driven brain choose familiarity over fulfillment. So even though it's not a good outcome, it's still familiar. It's still one you're used to navigating. You ever meet people who seem to be addicted to drama? Yeah, this is a pattern they have built. They are wired to survive. They need the circumstances to keep them surviving because that feels comfortable. Your reactions feel bigger than the present moment. When your response doesn't match the current situation, it's often because your body is responding to past memories, not the present reality. That's a neural pathway firing automatically, not a character flaw. You're on automatic pilot with that response. So if it doesn't match the circumstance, if it's out of balance, that's a good indication that trauma is still controlling your behavior. 3, you have a strong identity around being the strong one, or the fixer, or the one who handles it. If rest, receiving help, or being seen feels unsafe or uncomfortable, that's often a trauma role trying to stay in control. Strength learned through trauma is often over-functioning in disguise. Number 4, you struggle to imagine a different future even when you want change. Trauma really narrows your perception if your mind says, that's just how it is, or this is as good as it gets, or people like me don't do that or don't get that. Those aren't facts. They're conditioned neural expectations. And I would go out even further to say you have an expectation problem. An expectation problem paralyzes us from taking the right actions. We know what actions to take. We know what actions to take to get health outcomes that we want, right? We have to develop nutrition patterns, right? Where we eat things, we have high protein. Like we know all the facts, but yet we're conditioned by our expectations. And so we constantly judging ourselves by our history. So if in the past, I couldn't get results. This is just how it goes. People like me don't get those types of results. You have an expectation problem. You have to have an expectation of belief, right? You have to believe it's possible. Otherwise, you're kind of dead in the water there. Number 5, your body signals stress even when life looks fine on paper. It looks fine. Everything's going fine. Chronic tension, fatigue, gut issues, inflammation, or sleep problems often mean the nervous system never learned how to turn off survival mode. You've always been in survival mode. That's been your coping mechanism. And even when the circumstances around you don't require you to be in survival mode, you don't know how to, you're not comfortable in your own body without trying to survive. You'll create chaos. You'll create fights. You'll create drama just so you have something to focus on. Because your body signals stress even when life looks fine on paper. Key. It's okay. Everything's okay. You'll find a way to create chaos because that is your comfort zone. So trauma, it shapes your pathways, but pathways can be rewired. This is huge. Just having awareness about this is how your thinking patterns are formed, and this is why you do what you do. Because this is how your neural pathways have been formed through your experiences. This is what you learned. This behavior keeps you safe. So awareness is the first interruption of this cycle. Choice is the second. Oh my gosh. Am I in survival mode here? Do I need to be in survival mode? What does survival mode feel like? Shoulders up, tight, tension, argumentative, looking for the negative, looking for reasons to be offended. So safety is the third. You're not broken. You're patterned. You're patterned. And over repetition, you've developed these patterns, and they used to serve you. They used to keep you safe. They used to bring you outcomes that made you belong. And we develop these neural pathways very early in life, right? 0 to 7 is what the research tells us. We're learning rapidly, from being small, how to fit in, how to adapt. We don't come with an owner's manual. Nobody tells us how to behave. We're taking in social cues all the time. That's how we learn who we need to be in order to feel safe, to feel comfortable, and to, be part of our unit. And it may have served you well when you were little and growing, and even beyond that. But at some point, we can't run the same patterns if we want different results. And so just awareness around that. Patterns can change when the role that once protected us is gently retired. You can switch into that role as long as you're aware of it. Right? It's when we go unconscious and we're using these roles and we're playing these roles and we don't even know that we're playing them. That's when it gets, challenging, because when we want different results, we can't just keep running the same patterns. And that's where, people get frustrated and they feel defeated. They feel like they beat themselves up. It's my problem. I've done this to myself. It's very hard to pick out these patterns in yourself until you bring awareness around it and understand that we all operate like this. We all operate like this. It's only awareness that gives us a different perspective of it. And it's like, I can shift out of that role. If you need to be in helper role, you can be in that role. And, but when you don't, because what happens when you're stuck in a role is a lot of times it gets old, and you feel like when you're in the helper role, you'll start to feel like you're being taken advantage of. And you don't want to be seen as the helper all the time. Why do I have to help all the time? Nobody helps me. And then resentment kicks in. And of course, resentment is terrible for your health. That's a low frequency vibration in your body. You don't want any of that. You want high frequency. So you bring awareness around these patterns. Again, you're not broken, you're patterned. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert-Garcia. Stay tuned for the second hour. Don't forget, Dean Lerwick from Pumpkin Creek Ranch will be joining us at the bottom of the hour. Stay tuned. We'll be back.
Are you ready to stay informed and inspired 24/7? Tune in to Naturally Inspired Radio anytime, anywhere. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com, or for the best mobile experience, download the Simple Radio app. Search for Naturally Inspired Radio, save it to your favorites, and click on the graphic to listen instantly. Catch live broadcasts, revisit past shows, dive into long-form podcast conversations, and discover rare, censored presentations by leading health experts. Plus, explore documentaries uncovering the hidden truths of occult and esoteric history. Stay connected, stay inspired. Naturally Inspired Radio is always at your fingertips. Tune in now. For health questions or comments, text Tammy directly at 720-303-8868. NaturallyInspiredRadio.com.
Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The information and other content provided on this radio show or in any linked materials is provided for informational purposes only, not intended and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Welcome back. This is the second hour of Naturally Inspired Radio. Listen, if you missed the first hour, you got to go back and check it out. Talking about AI, the AI push. We got AI movies now, people. All artificial intelligence created AI movies. The bizarreness of that. Like, just think about it. It's so weird because we are watching, like, we're humans watching fake humans, you know, emulate human life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it gets a little muddy there. Like, there's just such a lack of authenticity. It's really like it's layers of, it's just very strange to me. Very strange concept. Anyway, will AI push us back to humanity? Because there's something missing here, especially in the art. In the music, there's something missing. In the movies, there's something missing. And it's, you know, art's subjective for sure, but it resonates with people because of the human experience that we share. And so we're watching machines now make human experiences that they haven't lived, right? Just such a strange thing. So anyway, that's what we talked about in the first hour, just this whole AI push and what the impact will be on humanity. And I can't even really quantify it all. So make sure you check out the first hour. If you didn't catch it, you got to go back and listen. Also, Dean Lerwick, owner-operator of Pumpkin Creek Ranch, is going to be joining us at the bottom of this hour. We're going to talk a little bit about, he just recently went to a convention, and I kind of want to pick his brain and see what he thought about, how people are thinking in the farming and ranching community. Are they optimistic? What have you? And, what did he learn there? And just, I love talking to Dean. He just brings us right down to earth and keeps it real. So that's going to be a great conversation you're not going to want to miss. So stay tuned for that. We will have time for our health topic today. I want to talk to you about your mitochondria. Been getting a lot of questions about that through assessments and whatnot. How do we improve our mitochondria? So stay tuned for that. We will have time for that for sure. But I do want to spend a little bit of time talking to you about American culture, because I have just the most wonderful example of what's going on by trying to push out American culture and create this strange mishmash of, you don't have a culture, it's all muddied and it's a melting pot or whatever. No. We do have a culture. It's the American culture. It's awesome. I'm pointing out things to you every day about what makes America, America, and put simply, how we do things around here, right? That's a culture, how we do things around here. So to tell somebody you don't have a culture, it's like, we don't have the way we do things? Yeah, we do. We do. And it works good. So anyway, prepare yourself, because this might make you a little mad. It made me mad. So here it is. New immigrant, I guess, explaining to us why we don't have a culture. Take a listen.
Hold your hand when I say this. We do not move to America because we think it's a better country. We move here because it's a little less worse than our other countries. Because you're stupid to think that we moved to this country for some hot dogs and some baseball. We have better vibes, music, food, culture, history, literally all of the above. We just move here because we are looking to make more money and offer a better chance for our families. Did you know that the minimum wage a day, not an hour, a day in Mexico is not even 15 American dollars? Not even 15 American dollars. Right now with $15 in San Diego, I could go maybe buy a matcha and half of a granola bar, honey. If you support ICE, you support people getting destroyed. If you support families getting destroyed, I hope you rot in hell. And I will see you there.
This video confused me so much. I really just was truly confused by it. The nails, right? Oh, the nails. It drives me insane. But anyway, how much for the nails? So okay, so our country's got nothing, apparently, right? They don't move here for our country. They don't move here for our culture. They move here for more money and a better chance for their families. But I'm confused because we don't have a good vibe here. According to this woman, they have everything better. They have better vibes. They have better music. They have better food. They have better culture. Okay, so what's the better chance for the family? Just money? Is it just money? Right? I guess that measure of better is just money. And so you can make more money in America. And that's the only reason they're here. Weird, right? I'd be thinking she doesn't know anything about American culture. I got to believe that because we have a very distinct culture, actually, and it goes a little further than hot dogs and baseball, American cuisine is got a lot of different influences, but as we've covered here before, America is about reinvention. So we learned, I didn't know this, but we learned many weeks ago now, I covered this, that in Italy, we think, oh, pasta, spaghetti, and meatballs, that came from Italy. Did it? No, it didn't. Italy made meat soup, actually, meatball soup, because they weren't that rich of a wealthy country. So they didn't have that wasn't something that was accessible to everybody. It's too expensive to make. And it just, it wasn't part of the culture. They often made meatballs and they put it in soup. So it was like more of a watery meatball. It wasn't till they came, right? So Italians immigrated over to America for a better life, right? And lo and behold, they got a better life because now they could reinvent their culture. Now there's more prosperity here. We can make pasta and we're going to put the meatballs on pasta and we're going to, do the marinara and all that. That came here. That was here. Okay? That was here because the culture of this country supports reinvention. You get to reinvent yourself here. That's what it's about. If you don't want to reinvent yourself, maybe don't come. Maybe don't come. Okay, so the next one. So that's pretty much covers the food thing. We have apple pie here, barbecue, like ridiculous barbecue. Fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, clam chowder, southern collard greens, buffalo wings, pancakes, ice cream, milkshakes. And then, of course, we have the whole class of reinvention from Tex-Mex. So Mexican food reinvented, right? Not to say that it's, better than authentic Mexican food, but there's, if you've ever been to Mexico, like real Mexico, it ain't anything like Tex-Mex. This is a reinvention because that's what happens in America. We reinvent. Okay. All right. So that, covers the food thing. And then she hit us up on our music. Please, really? Yeah. So great. I mean, I'm all for world music. I love Latin music, actually. We play it here like all the time. It's soothing to me. I love it. It's beautiful. Okay. But would you want to talk popularity when it comes to music? Should we talk popularity? I can't actually name you too many Latin bands that I'm just like, but let's just think about things like rock and roll. Pretty popular. Elvis Presley, these type of music, it's played everywhere. You know what they do? They actually translate it into other languages. Have you ever been in another country and you're like, this is the weirdest version of blue suede shoes I've ever heard? You know what I mean? It's pretty popular. So, I don't say that you don't have wonderful music. You absolutely do. But pretty much the inventors of rock and roll over here. Okay? Also, then we have this whole other genre of country and Western storytelling. Right? I mean, it dominates. Come on. It dominates. So and even gospel, right? It's deeply tied to African American church. Man, there's just no gospel like the gospel coming out of African American churches. So yeah, I've never, experienced other cultures, but as far as popularity goes, we do have some things to offer here. Absolutely. And then she talks, about money and the minimum wage and whatnot. And so you may have some things going on in your country, but don't forget, the founding principles of America they make up American culture. So independence and liberty, like, pretty much do anything you want here. And that's a principle. Innovation and pop culture, that's American. And I see your nails. You clearly are into the pop culture, clearly. So next time, these people tell you that your culture's crap, actually you don't have a culture, nobody's coming here for the culture. I mean, I don't know anywhere else where you can pop out and, get a $15 matcha and half a granola bar. I'm betting you might not be able to track that down in Mexico, maybe. I don't know. Not trying to take cheap shots here, but this is deeply offensive because we absolutely do have a culture. And my lady, if you don't like it, get out. We'll be right back.
Did you know that a single collagen supplement could support your heart health, help protect against EMF exposure, and reduce inflammation all at the same time? Our preferred foundational collagen not only supports radiant skin and joint mobility, but also promotes heart health, reduces inflammation, strengthens hair and nails, provides added protection against the effects of EMF exposure, and so much more. Our favorite collagen is super absorbable and easy to take. Just 1 tablespoon in the morning and another in the evening for maximum benefits. Here's what our listeners have to say.
This collagen is so easy to take, I've noticed a huge difference in my hair and nails after just a few weeks.
Since I started using Tammy's preferred collagen, my joints feel more flexible and my skin looks smoother.
Try it today at naturallyinspiredradio.com/collagen. When you purchase from Naturally Inspired, you get access to our group health coaching call and so much more. Go to naturallyinspiredradio.com/collagen.
Follow us on Spotify. Please share it with someone you love. Connect them to Real Solutions for Health. Search us up on Spotify at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Listen, in the news, I've seen some pops here in the trans department. So tranny shooting, and there's things popping up here. So I'm not sure where this is going. I don't know if it's going to be used for gun control or what have you. There's always something behind these stories that all of a sudden take over, the algorithm on social media. And so I wanted to just visit on this one. This is a dad who returned home, and his daughter was calling, freaking out, because this was in their driveway. Watch this.
In my driveway right now.
Give you the proper help you can, okay? Can you do that for me?
Help me, please.
So he's gonna ask you questions.
Help me, please! That's too tight! Help! Help me, please! That hurts! Help! Help me, please! That hurts!
You know, if you stop resisting...
Help me! I'm not resisting! That hurts!
Well, if you cooperate...
Help me, please!
That's what we're doing.
Tried to break in the wrong house, dude.
Help me!
So plenty more of these videos popping up online recently. And, in the past, this is what happens when, this insanity takes place. And tell me how this is not mental illness, right? And of course, we've seen now another shooting, right? Another shooting at a hockey game and it's a trans shooter. We're seeing more escalation of violence from this demographic of people. And when are we going to face the facts about this, right? That this is mental illness. This is mental illness, right? What about that does not convey mental illness? And so I was looking back and, trying to get like a historical record of this mental illness. And this there used to be a diagnosis known as autogynephilia. And it was a term that was introduced to describe a paraphilic sexual pattern in which a male experiences sexual arousal at the thought or image of himself as a female. And the term, it comes from the Greek language, auto, self, gyn, woman, philia, love or attraction. It was framed as a sexual orientation of arousal, not a gender identity, okay? Which is why we're seeing a lot of these trans people go into women's spaces and self-pleasure, that's because they're aroused. They're doing it because it's arousing to them. Okay, so its origins and history of the concept, late 1800s, early 1900s. Before the term existed, European sexologists such as Magnus Hirschfeld and Havelock Ellis documented cross-dressing, erotic role reversal, sexual fantasies involving embodiment of the opposite sex. These were categorized broadly as fetishisms or sexual inversion, not identity. Okay? So that's been the big crossover. Is now this because you just have to accept people for this is their identity. And this is interesting because we do this kind of with medical diagnosis, right? So this is a medical diagnosis. There's a medical solution, right? And so now this becomes part of the person's identity. In the 80s and 90s, Ray Blanchard, working in Canada's publicly funded medical system, came up with the proposed term as gender dysphoria. That wasn't till 2013. Okay? So again, historically, this is psychotherapy was the primary approach from the 1970s to early 2000s. Treatments focused on insight-oriented therapy. When do we start understanding that this is dangerous? Right? To facilitate this kind of mental illness. Hopefully not too much longer, right? Hopefully not too much longer because this is now becoming more and more prevalent as it's acceptable. And so anyway, that's where we're at with that. I want to transition into our health topic today. Because that is very important as well. And today we're talking about mitochondria. So I want to get to my paperwork here for mitochondria. So here we are. Perfect. Okay. So mitochondrial health. Today I want to talk about 7 essentials that everyone should know about mitochondria. They're far more than little energy factories. I know I describe them that way all the time, okay? They sit at the crossroads of energy, of inflammation, hormones, brain function, aging, and resilience. And when they're strong, you feel vibrant, okay? When they're impaired, everything feels harder. Okay, so here are 7 clear points to focus on for health of your mitochondria. Number 1, mitochondria determine how much energy you can make, not just how much you sleep. Fatigue is often a cellular energy problem. It's not a motivation problem. Okay, healthy mitochondria efficiently convert nutrients into ATP, that's cellular energy. Damaged mitochondria equals low energy, poor recovery, brain fog. You can eat enough calories and still be energy deficient at the cellular level because of this issue. Blood sugar instability directly damages mitochondrial function. So frequent glucose spikes increase oxidative stress, damage mitochondrial membranes, reduce ATP output over time. And this is why insulin resistance often shows up as fatigue, as inflammation, and even accelerated aging. Mitochondria thrive on metabolic flexibility, not constant sugar, carbohydrates, right? Processed foods. Chronic stress signals mitochondria to shift from energy into survival mode. So stress hormone tells the cells, conserve, defend, don't grow. And this reduces mitochondrial efficacy, increases inflammatory signaling, and lowers repair and regeneration. Unmanaged stress is a mitochondrial toxin. This is beyond just, do you feel stressed? Oh yeah, I really need to take a spa day or whatever. No, this is about repairing metabolic health. Okay, so unmanaged stress is a mitochondrial toxin. It's a burden. Calm isn't a luxury. It's actually a cellular requirement. So a common practice, a practice that you repeat, right, every day. This is a variable that has to be tended to. Stress management. Toxins and medications create mitochondrial traffic jams or congestion, as I call it. Common mitochondrial stressors include environmental chemicals, heavy metals, medications, excess alcohol, chronic inflammation, and they interfere with electron transport, ATP production, and cellular detox pathways. So mitochondria feel the toxic load first, long before even your labs look abnormal. Movement is the strongest signal to build new mitochondria. Exercise, it's not just about burning calories from that old, antiquated diet culture deprivation model. Forget that. It triggers mitochondrial biogenesis. So, especially powerful resistance training. I'm telling you, muscle is the top of the list here. So important for longevity, for overall health, for feeling good. You can change your state by picking up a couple of dumbbells for 10 minutes. You can change the way you feel. So resistance training is big. Short bursts of intensity. So I've been going back to this. I go on and off with this because it's a fascinating statistic that after we're 30 years old, we never sprint again. Most people never sprint again. Think about when you were a kid and running across the soccer field or running on the playground. Like, you're sprinting everywhere as a kid, right? Your mitochondria are super healthy too, right? You have these bursts of energy. You run over here, you run over there, you're jumping off of couches and, onto concrete floors in the basement as a kid. But you have these short bursts of intensity. But as you get older, we don't do this. We just don't do it. It's not the lifestyle of older people to burst into sprints. But this is what repairs your mitochondria. So I've been doing this lately. Like, I ran today, this morning, and I do these little bursts, 30-second bursts. And I just want to see, how that improves my day, the overall feeling of my day. So just try to incorporate that in there. You don't have to run for 30 minutes. Run fast for 15 seconds. Stop, recover, do it again. Play with it. Movement should be kind of fun too. Even walking after meals restores mitochondrial function. Muscle is a mitochondrial organ. The more muscle you maintain, the more energy capacity you will retain with age. Again, I never put enough stress. I know I talk about it all the time, but this is huge. Muscle is huge. Nutrient density matters more than calories. So mitochondria require B vitamins, magnesium, adequate amounts of iron in your food, CoQ10 and polyphenols. Of course, we have the polyphenols in the form of Vivix. Ultra-processed foods may fill the stomach, but they starve your mitochondria. Food quality equals cellular capacity. So light, timing, and sleep regulate mitochondrial repair. Circadian rhythm is disrupted by late night eating, blue light, poor sleep. Mitochondria repair at night if you let them. Listen, Dean Lerwick from Pumpkin Creek Ranch is coming up next. I can't wait to get into the ranching realm with him. You'll enjoy the conversation. Dean's a great guy. Pumpkin Creek Ranch coming up next. We'll be right back.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
Welcome back. We are here with Dean Lerwick, as promised, from Pumpkin Creek Ranch. I'm going to go ahead and bring him right on. We've got a lot to discuss today. Dean, welcome back to Naturally Inspired Radio. So good to see you. How are things going?
Oh, they're going pretty good. Good to be here. It's been kind of windy. That's never fun, but so far it's not done. Yeah. Makes for rough days working cattle, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, let's talk about the weather a little bit, because here in Colorado, we haven't got near the amount of snow that we normally get. Even the mountains aren't that covered. Usually it's all, stocked full of whiteness and there's not much up there. And a lot of people have concerns. I was talking to somebody in Montana the other day that expressed the same concern. They haven't got the amount of snow. How will that impact you? And how will it impact our farmers if we don't get a heavy rains in the spring?
Well, for us, it's just more of the same, unfortunately, for the last 5 years. We've been in pretty prolonged period of drought. We cut our cow numbers last year, and then in May, it was looking like we weren't going to get any moisture. That was actually in April. We were up against the wall. We were out of feed. And so I actually moved about 90 head of cows out, put them out on lease just to cut our demand down. That helped us get through the summer. We were kind of banking on moisture in the spring. We are keeping back some extra cows this year. Prices are higher. It's indicating we need to be looking at some herd expansion. But drought conditions have kept that tamped down for several years. If you look at the more macro trends in the weather right now, it's looking like El Nino is coming into play. When that happens in spring, when the equatorial waters off of South America heat up in the spring, that usually means moisture for us in the high plains. So, things are lining up that we could end up with more moisture coming through the spring and into early summer.
Oh, that's good news. Yeah, that's good news.
You're right.
Yeah, I hate snow, so I'm feeling a little guilty here because I've been really enjoying enjoying the nice weather and stuff, but I know it's like, it's terrible for ranchers and farmers and stuff. So like, I feel a little bad about that. Can you explain to me when you said, you might have to put some cows on lease? What does that mean?
Well, so we continue to own them, but we had an agreement with another producer that had room. They had pasture that they had already had lined up, and they had extra grass supply. So we sign an agreement with them, and they take a percentage of the calf crop, and we provided the bulls for it to make sure the cows were bred again. And then, so they have them for a year, and then we take those cows back. It's just a way that we can maintain our overall numbers. The alternative would have been we had to sell that group of cows, and I really didn't want to do that.
Got it. I don't think people understand the game of Tetris that farmers play, right? Like you're always looking for solutions. Okay, we can do this, we can do that. We move cattle here or do that. And I don't think people really understand everything that goes into farming and ranching. So I like to bring that perspective into people. This is a lifestyle that ranchers live, right? And and they're constantly problem solving, and they're constantly, trying to figure out how to make sure that they're producing a great product. And you go into a grocery store, you buy some beef, and I don't know, a lot of this stuff that Dean's going to, all this trouble he's going to make sure that his beef tastes so great, and it is good beef and it's good for you. You're not getting that at the grocery store, are you?
No. The reality is that we deal with an animal that they have to be fed every day. And so there's constant awareness that we've got to be planning a week ahead of time, a month ahead of time, even a year ahead of time. We've got planning at all different stages just to make sure that, if the worst comes to worst, we got a stockpile of feed that we can dip into. But yeah, it's constant preparation to make sure that your animals are taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and on that note, this is a lifestyle for you. So like you've recently been out learning again, and Pumpkin Creek Ranch is you're constantly, diving into the latest issues. And whenever we have a discussion, you're well informed on what's going on in the ranching and whatnot. So you've been to yet another conference, and I want to hear about where'd you go and why?
Yeah. Well, one of our seed suppliers has a multi-day conference every year, mainly centered around farmers. They invite a lot of their customers and other people that are like-minded. It's called the Regenerative Nexus. But basically it covers a bunch of topics related to farming, agriculture, health, but it's focused on regenerating landscapes. And unlike a lot of other conferences, they don't have a bunch of experts, and there's always a panel of speakers that kind of makes the rounds of all these conferences. They get a large social media presence and people interested in them, and then it's just kind of rinse, lather, repeat sort of a thing. This one, they put out the invitation, they see who says I want to come, and they make you fill out kind of a little bio of what you're doing and how what the last year's been like, and then they select their speakers from that slate of attendees. And so sometimes you get stuck in the hot seat and you get to present, and it's kind of a panel type of a discussion. They give you time to present, and then it's thrown open for questions from the audience. I think they said there's about 170 people in attendance this year, and after the speakers get done speaking, then it's a back and forth kind of question and answer thing about what they had presented. So
that's cool. I've been talking a lot about this on my show, about this kind of like celebrity that's been created through social media, which, you and I are aligned, like we can't stand that stuff. But like even in farming and ranching, We have these.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Who, like, when we were kids, I don't think I predicted that we'd have famous farmers,
Celebrity farmers and ranchers.
Yeah.
And it's not to denigrate or take away from what particular people have done, but you only have so much experience. And so if you hear the same speeches over and over and over again, and after a while, it's like, okay, well, now somebody else is doing something amazing. Let's find those people.
Yeah.
And
again, it's more like marketing again. We're getting into this routine of marketing and, celebrity farmers and whatnot. And the fact is that, like, farming and ranching is very much dependent on geography.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so when you get the same speech out there all the time and the same kind of, point of view, then not all voices are heard and expressed. No. I've had the pleasure of talking to you guys now for a couple years. So it's really changed how I look at things, because I was probably being influenced by the celebrity farmers and ranchers a little bit more than I'd like to admit.
Well, so the way I've kind of come to understand this is there's the people out in front, and they're promoters. Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they gloss over the warts, they gloss over the problems, and they're cheerleaders for the movement. There's nothing wrong with that. It kind of pushes us to try things that maybe are probably a low probability of success in the attempts, but it pushes us and it expands our boundaries, and it expands our minds of maybe what is possible. But it's important as a producer that, I'm trying to take care of the land. Our farm is trying to, be ready for the next generation. We can't go too far out on the limb of, well, we're just going to commit to this and we're going to do everything that these people are doing. And then you go, oh, wait a minute. They're farming in Virginia and you're in the high plains,
Totally different.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's an important part of that too. And that is to recognize that each individual, regardless of where they're producing, they're going to have different levels of ability and different levels of comfort with risk and innovation and all of these different aspects. And so, there is no one system that you can point to, whether you're talking regenerative or conventional ag or organic or whatever the case may be, and say, well, this is the way it has to go. This conference, it had everybody from conventional producers that were hardly raising cover crops to full-on organic producers have been doing it for 40 years. There's lots of opportunities to have conversations with different people in different areas. And one of the guys was telling me about how he has to till his land because he's got this heavy clay type soil that gets all waterlogged and sealed up, and he has to open it up. Okay, that's fine. He's in Indiana, so we sit there and we can compare notes, and then, the chemistry's the same. It's going to react the same. But where he has to use tillage, if I use tillage, my dirt's gone. It's blown away. So, it's good to compare notes. It's good to get ideas, but at the end of the day, we have to do what's best for the area that we are actually responsible for, that we are stewards for.
That makes sense. And there again, a little common sense. Imagine that, the ranchers and the farmers bringing a little common sense. What was the general climate of the Nexus, the Regenerative Nexus event? Were people excited? Curious how they're...
Yeah. It's a generally hopeful. I'm starting to get a little bit concerned about the overall I don't know how to put this so that it comes through as understandable, but this anti-chemistry, anti-conventional agriculture. I don't say that as a defense of big ag or a defense of high chemistry usage. But I see ourselves, if we go down this road without caution, I see ourselves taking tools out of our toolbox that leave us vulnerable to climate, to weather, to production, that it has a potential to cause us some real trouble. And that kind of goes to the celebrity issues. Right now there's a huge anti-herbicide deal, and that's fine. We need to re-examine that, but let's not get ahead or, get out over our skis, so to speak.
Yeah, let's talk more about that when we come back. Everybody visit pumpkincreekranchco.com. Best at our place. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Dean Lerwick in 1 minute.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
Join the ranch revolution. What does that mean? It means demanding better quality with your food, and you can get the very best quality at pumpkincreekranchco.com. Joining me today, Dean Lerwick from Pumpkin Creek Ranch. Welcome back, Dean. I want to dive into this a little bit further here. You know what? We haven't talked about the actual quality of Pumpkin Creek for a while. And I was just thinking that as we went out to commercial, I'm like, it's the best tasting beef. It truly is. But how do you get that taste? I want our audience to know that because you put a lot of work into this. Why does Pumpkin Creek taste so different? So, it's nutrient dense, but the flavor it's different. It's better.
We think so. We run these cattle to a little bit older of age. We've had a long-term breeding program. Our ranch started in 1946 with my grandpa. We've been breeding our cattle up ever since then. And then we use a little bit different type of finishing diet with these cattle. They spend most of their life out on grass, on native range, on cover crops, things like that. But when we are getting ready to finish them, we put them on a diet of ground barley, oats, some oats and pea silage, a little bit of flax, and then some hay. It's a pretty simple diet, but it's a diet that's raised on our farm. We are what I would consider moving in regenerative directions. We are not using any GMO crops. We're not doing any of the Roundup Ready corn or anything like that. We can't grow it. We're mostly dryland farming, and so we have to raise crops that fit within our climate, within our context, and so that means small grains. It means cover crops. It means hay, and so that's what those cattle are getting. But it's hard to say what the secret ingredient is, because if I'm being honest, I don't know, because it's the beef that we've eaten our whole lives. It's what we developed and decided we really appreciated, and decided to start bringing it to the customer.
Yeah. Well, there's a profound difference, let me tell you. there's a big difference in your guys' beef. And even, if you go out somewhere and you have like a grass-fed steak, there tends to be kind of a gamey taste to grass-fed. And yeah, and you just don't get that with Pumpkin Creek. It's definitely cleaner. Sometimes, like when I serve it plain, my daughter's even asked, like, what spices did you put in this? And I actually didn't really put anything in it the first couple times I gave it to my family, because I wanted to see if they would say anything, and they did. So I think that's going on. That's saying a lot, especially from my daughter, who is not a beef eater. That's for sure. Anyway, I want to get back to the conversation we were talking about the pesticides and the herbicides that you're getting a little concerned about chemistry use and whatnot. We've heard about recently this technology of lasers now. What do you think of this? What is your opinion on this?
Oh, I have no problem with technology, and I hope to goodness that they can figure out a way to make these things work across large scale. So there are several companies that are developing alternatives to herbicide usage, or manual weeding, tillage, things like that. There's some companies that have made robots that either cut the weeds off and they're small enough that they can run down the rows of the row crops. There is some commercial availability of the laser weeders. Those things are most of so the way this actually works out in real time, the highest return crops are the fruit vegetable type crops. The least return are going to be your small grains. That's just the way it is. That's a reality. And so all of these technologies end up hitting the fruit and vegetable producers first, because their returns are much higher. Their gross income per acre is much higher than the small grain crops are. And so these laser weeders, they're amazing. But
okay, that's good news.
Caveats: they're small and they're very, very slow. The initial I don't remember how big the thing was as far as how wide pass it could take at one time, but it was over $1 million.
That's what I heard.
Yeah,
that's what I heard the other day. I saw a bigger machine that looked more like a tractor that was using it. And actually, I think we played it on the show, and you can see it using it. But yeah, this is what I heard. It's over $1 million. So like, problem solved for me. How do we get this available to our farmers and ranchers and small farmers and ranchers? What would be a way that you see this could happen?
Well, I think it's just time. It's going to take a while before there's enough players. And that's what it takes is, when the technology becomes perfected enough and simplified enough that it can be produced in a way that they can bring the price down. This is really the early iterations of this technology. It's got great promise, but, we weren't doing a lot of this stuff even that we're doing today. It took 20, 30, 40 years to develop the equipment that allows us to do even the acres that we're doing today with as little a use as possible. And honestly, that's why we saw widespread herbicide use. It was simple. The price came down. It was easy to produce, and it met some needs. And I think that these things like laser weeder and the robots, the robot weeders, that'll happen with them too. But sooner or later there'll be somebody saying this is destroying our environment. So
yeah, right.
It's just the cycle that we go through. So sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong, and it's that's just humanity.
Yeah. I've heard Bobby Kennedy say a few times now, like, we want to provide an off-ramp for our, big operation farmers. He clearly wants to support small farmers as well, especially he talked about this with the laser weeding and whatnot, that this would be great how do we get this accessible to our small ranchers and small farmers? In your opinion, as a small rancher, what's the off-ramps that we can give some of these people? I know Pumpkin Creek is doing a lot of it already. Like, you guys have already moving towards regenerative for quite a while now, but what off-ramps would make it easier for people?
Oh boy, that's a big question. The financial system, I think a lot of the resistance to change and the resistance even to experimenting comes from a position of financial inflexibility. If I've got multi-million-dollar loans, I've taken out loans on land, I've taken out loans for equipment, I have an operating note, I'm limited in what I can do. And the system is designed with crop insurance and subsidies. It's designed to promote the production of corn, soybeans, wheat, and some sugar. That's what it's designed to produce. And so as long as that infrastructure is in place, man, that's a hard one, because most of our land prices are based off of those artificially inflated and artificially promoted crops. And so when you're looking at $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 an acre land in the Midwest and even in central Nebraska and points east, tell them that they should raise a cover crop instead of a 300 bushel corn crop or 200 bushel corn crop. Like, that cover crop is not going to give them the cash flow to service that debt. So right. How do you get out of that? Well, I mean, this is a structural issue, really.
Yeah. So subsidizing farming has done what?
Well, it's gotten us where we're at right now. All it does is end up making farm size grow. It never helped the family farm. It doesn't. I mean, when you got subsidies, it's not going to help the family farm. I mean, you keep your nose above water, and that's about it. If that's the road that you're chasing, debt is really the big driver of these things, unfortunately. And so we end up getting trapped into a debt spiral, because that's how we're going to make it. That's how we're finally going to get ahead, is if we buy this next piece of land. Now we've got this next piece of land, now we've got to buy the bigger combine. Now we've got to buy the bigger air seeder or the bigger planter. We got to buy the bigger sprayer. And it just snowballs. And before you know it, people find themselves millions of dollars in debt, chasing ever smaller margins. So
is direct to consumer, like Pumpkin Creek Ranch is a model now that's direct to consumer. Is this a remedy for subsidies and getting out of that established system?
It is one of, it's an avenue. It helps us. It helps us move away from the risk of having all of our eggs in these commodities. It diversifies our sales channels, and so that provides some resilience to us. In a perfect world, I'd say, that's a key. Like, if we could market everything we can produce, but that also means that we've got to make some structural changes, because it takes, right now, the land that we, and that's more debt.
Limited. This is what we can do as consumers, is we can support small ranchers, and you can do it today at pumpkincreekranchco.com. Order your beef. This has been Dean Lerwick. Thanks so much for joining us today on Naturally Inspired Radio, Dean. Always good to talk to you.
Enjoyed it.
Are you ready to stay informed and inspired 24/7? Tune in to Naturally Inspired Radio anytime, anywhere. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com, or for the best mobile experience, download the Simple Radio app. Search for Naturally Inspired Radio, save it to your favorites, and click on the graphic to listen instantly. Catch live broadcasts, revisit past shows, dive into long-form podcast conversations, and discover rare, censored presentations by leading health experts. Plus, explore documentaries uncovering the hidden truths of occult and esoteric history. Stay connected, stay inspired. Naturally Inspired Radio is always at your fingertips. Tune in now. For health questions or comments, text Tammy directly at 720-303-8868. naturallyinspiredradio.com.